Hey y'all, it's Crazy Cooter one more time. Now I'm going to do a little video on a ham rotor. Probably a ham 5 or whatever. A ham's a ham to me. I got a control box I picked up from Wild Man today. I just got through doing loading the one on the AR-22 in the computer. And I'll try to get these two loaded in. They'll be separately, if you ain't already figured it out, if I do it. But Wild Man said that rotor controller was only reading half from south to north. Well, I've already diagnosed that earlier, and I'll give you a little what's what on what I did. Anyhow, okay. What happens? Get this set. See this? That's where a capacitor was. I got a different capacitor in there now. But if I can just find the one I took out of it. I had it sitting up here somewhere. Okay, here it is. It's a little bitty. Oh, good Lord, let me get focused in. 30 microfarad, 50 working volts. A little capacitor. It went in just like that. Negative and positive. Okay. So it must be a little DC. Or I would say a DC, but it could be whatever the hell it is. Anyway, I've had this happen before. In a controller that I bought, a City 45, just wouldn't read. So I did some troubleshooting on a box prior to this one that the capacitor was out. So it's exactly what I had to do on here. All I did was take my little old jumper wires and jumped into another capacitor, and it went from being at full north, because it was already at, it was, the south was supposed to be over here, because I got this ham rotor right next to me, and I just can reach up there and turn the potentiometer to wherever I want it and check it without sitting there turning one. But anyhow, yeah, I just clipped another capacitor in there, that one. And you gotta make sure the voltage is high enough, because you don't want to over voltage, you'll blow your capacitor out. You might get hurt. But anyhow, I don't have any wires hooked up, and I'll just show you how I hook up wires and explain that to you real quick. I gotta change the light bulb out in this one. It is plugged in, but it ain't gonna hurt nothing. But that right there will cause you an indicator problem. You only read half of what you're supposed to be. It just drive you nuts. So you just get a capacitor, change it out, and it should get your indicator reading, go from south to south. So I'm going to go ahead and wire it up. Hopefully it won't take too damn long. But I'm going to spin the box around and wire it up. Now, let me see here. This is not a real heavy gauge deal, but normally if you get good rotor cable, if you're pulling a lot of current for like a ham, a brake wedge, one is your common. Supplies all your common or ground to your rotor. which black would be a real big heavy wire, and your white would be a heavy wire. I have seen that red is your heavy wire before, just a bigger gauge. These two right here, 1 and 2, need to be your heavy wires, black and white. Okay, and I use green because it's pretty well color coded in here. If you follow it out, the colors inside or in the rotor, I put green, number 3. And number 3 is your upper potentiometer, which I will point that out here in a minute. I won't try to make this video not so cut and picking long. Now blue, that's one of your motor directions. Okay, I don't right off the top of my head know which clockwise or counterclockwise, but you get what I'm saying. Now the next two are your capacitor assist. 5, I usually put orange on 5. It's capacitor assist. What you do here, you got to do on your rotor, and I've already done it on the rotor. It's orange. Bend them a little bit. Put that on number 6. Okay. It's hard to see. You got wires on top. Now brown is your lower potentiometer, and you damn sure don't want to screw up and mix up any other wires and put them up on the potentiometer. You will burn the winding up on your potentiometer, and you'd be lucky if you can jury rig it. Yeah, I said jury rig. I'm trying not to piss anybody off. But you burn a potentiometer up, and you're more than likely you're not going to fix it. You can't solder a potentiometer. Yeah, sorry about that. Card got full. Yeah, like I was saying, you can't solder a potentiometer. Whatever it's made out of, the solder won't stick to it. It's like trying to get the egg. Egg won't stick to a Teflon pan. Anything, but anyway, speaking of that, if you can't get nothing to stick to Teflon, how the hell you get Teflon to stick to the pan? So, what about that? Anyway, okay, I think I turned it on a while ago. I didn't realize the card got full because I forgot to delete the first video, so it took up memory. So, anyway. Yeah, box, I turned it on, so you'll see I turn it on and it's north, and I move the needle on the rotor, or on the potentiometer. It goes all the way, just a hair past, but I can move it real fast back because the rotors they do 1 rotation per minute, 1 RPM, so you go all the way one direction, 1 minute. And your motors get hot and everything gets hot because it's sitting there, making everything work. So if you got a rotor that you're working on, take the hood off. Now if you take that little armature and raise it off the winding on the potentiometer, it'll fall out. When it does that, if you see one doing that, there's a fuse in here. Now BS3 had one that was doing that. And let me get this up here where you see it. See that fuse? Right there. That fuse was not making connection. The ears on the holder weren't doing it, so it would sit there and lose the reading on the potentiometer, and I just a simple squeeze the ears in, and put the fuse in, it'll hold it. So if you got one that's jumping like that, you got a problem with that or something not making connection, because all this right here is your indicator circuit. Now I'll go ahead and change this light out. I gotta open the deal. The Radio Shack, I think these are pretty cheap. They come 2 in a pack for a real cheap price. It's a 28 volt. It's a lamp type 1819. This one's 1828. That's whatever the hell it is. I think this bulb will work. If I didn't switch them out, got the wrong one in there. It should be 28 volt. So anyhow, yeah, there we go. There's a little plate right there. You can just spin it over. Yeah, get that on there. Then when you put your cover on there, you can see your deal without having to put a piano light on there or some work lights like I got. Okay, all that's ready and going. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the cover back on this, and we'll look at the rotor for a minute. This is the one I had up on the tower back in December of last year, 2012. And we had some hellacious winds come through in December from the west, and they just, man, they jammed my rotor up. So let me get this over here. Now, do something here. That's the brake. And see how I'm holding the brake? Pretend your antenna's still up there, and you just push it down, and you release. You're throwing that brake wedge in that splines while you still got momentum. So what you want to do is like this. It's your brake, or if you're doing this one or whatever, pull a brake in and turn. If you say, oh hell, I got too far, keep that brake down. Keep that brake down. Don't let it go. Go back the other way. Let your antenna come to a stop. 3 seconds or so. 5 seconds be enough. And let it off. They do make or offer a kit, high gain does. It's like a 5-second delay for idiots that just can't figure that out, or wonder why their brake rings are ripping out. And if you buy a new brake wedge or a brake ring, you got to buy this and the outer ring at the same time, because they're making them different. That's what High Gain told me. Anyway, if they're trying to sell extra stuff, oh well. But if you got a brake problem, your antenna can't stay in one spot all the time, and it's drifting around, your brake ain't holding. So this is right here. That thing right there comes out, and you can't get it to go back in until you pull it. Until it's pulled, and it kind of latches itself in. Now this motor and this one, it is that's an AR-22 motor that I put in there, because the other motor had a problem with it, but I was using that. I think I was. Or that might be a regular ham motor. Ham motor and the AR or any of them other smaller rotors. The CD44, 45 are smaller motors than hams or tail twisters. From an AR-22 to any of these are built like this. It had the gears. They're the same gear ratio, same type ring. Some of these rings are steel. Right here, that's your ring. And this tab and that tab there, they all got to go down in the housing. And the housing goes on it. It has to line up in the right position. You can get by putting smaller motor in there, but you're not going to have the turning power. You get a big antenna beam up there, you're going to have problems. Now this is the winding, and I did watch a video on YouTube about how they made that high gain. You burn that up because you wired it wrong, man, that's you're gonna cost, that's about $50 out of your pocket. Get one from the factory. You don't want to do it. I burnt one up, and luckily I burned it up at the very end. I wrapped it with copper wire and sorted it up, and it made connection. It worked. I got by. But I still bought a new potentiometer, and it's up there on my tower right now because I changed this one out. And treat these pots with care. Treat everything in here with care. They'll last you a long time. It's giving me different positions on the controller when I'm doing this because I am moving it. It is on. So I'll show you what went wrong. If you can see it, this right here is your I call it a stop limiter or whatever, but it actuates the limit switch. There's a limit switch. When it gets to one side, it breaks the contact right in here. Okay, tape got full. Anyway, yeah, the stroke limiter, you know, goes one direction, and you got a little tab on one of these out here. It's around the other side. It'll hit that and break the contacts. It'll open the contacts up on the limit switches. It'll stop your direction. So that, you know, you don't want to send power to your motor when you're all the way. Something's got to stop power if you're hitting all the fully clockwise or counterclockwise, wherever direction it is. But sitting there thinking, yeah, this is a regular ham or tail twister motor. Even though this is a ham rotor, that motor would work in a tail twister. And it would work in a smaller rotor also. This would work in a tail twister, this ring. All these gears are the same. And AR22 up to the tail twister, even this one. Same gear ratio, same RPM, one rotation per minute. So, maybe sometime else if I ever tear a brake mechanism down, might get a little help with the camera. It's not that bad of a deal to tear it apart. It is worth having a little patience to do it. There's 2 springs in there. I think I bought a dozen of them from High Gain, and they cost $3 a piece, and it takes 2 of them in there. It takes 2 of them in there for your brake to work right. So if you got one that breaks, it's worth paying $3 to get it, so you don't have to sit there and bitch and complain about you can't get it to undo, or can't get it to hold. It's 2 springs, one on each side of a deal. They kind of, one here and one here, and it hooks in, yada yada. But I'm not going to do a spiel on that right now. But this part on your potentiometer, zoom it in. Let's see. It looks kind of like a claw. It's got a rise and a dip, and a rise and a dip, and a rise. Now, this is, let's get over here and look and see. See that up there in there? All that's got to line up with that. And when you turn your little tab on your rotor, when you're reassembling, let me spin that around. I think that tab, okay, the tab is under here. And I'll just spin that around. Go the other way. Okay. That tab needs to be right in there. It needs to be 180 degrees, or the opposite side, straight across. You know, straight across. From your little limit switch actuator, actually stops your rotation and stuff. On the other side, it needs to be straight across. This needs to be set one way, at north, and everything will line up as long as you grease your ball bearings. Having a good set of ball bearings in here. Some of your races will be junk. It's worth spending $5 per race from High Gain. Now, let's see here. That's about 49 ball bearings in a race. You snap them all in there, and you get a handful of grease or a brush and put them on there. It takes two of them, one on top. And just go like that. You would lay this one down inside the rotor housing, the top bell part of it, first, and set that in there. Or you could do it this way. Different ways of doing it for different people. I gotta get the grease off my hands. Anyway, one on here on the bottom. You have a plastic bushing that goes in the bottom. A tail twister has two of these, one here, one there, and one down at the bottom. And it's made a little different. This bottom section here is made different on the tail twister. Your outer casting, your housings, your upper piece, your lower piece for your brake ring, your splines, all that's different because you got 6 external bolts on a tail twister. You can't exchange the housing on I want to take this half off and put it down here. It won't work. Don't even go there. You can trash that idea because tail twister outside housing down. You could make this work for a tail twister if you had one break or something. A tower fell down and tore all the smithereens. You know, you could, if you had some extra parts or found some of the yard sale, flea market, whatever, or your buddy next door down the road had one, he'd give you for parts. You know, you could sit down, tear it apart, and build it. So it's whatever your little heart desires. But it would actually take a pretty good video to go through and disassemble one, cut and edit and all that stuff. And I'm not into that right now. I got it about as simple as I want it. So let's say I got this controller right there, got it working. I think I just basically swapped Wildman out. Just gave him that other one. He let me have this. I told him I'd fix this one, so I guess it's mine now. Unless he's so damn sentimental about it, I'll just give it back. Trade, get my old box back if he wants to do that, but I doubt it. But anyway, yeah, like I say, there's 2 transformers in these boxes here. One is strictly for the motor to turn, and one of them is for the brake to pull in. And what else? Trying to think anything else. Oh, I'll show you some pictures of the splines. And the ring. Now this one's got a little bit of a problem. I did buy this one off eBay. And that's my plastic bushing that goes down in the bottom. Goes there. I can see all sorts of metal fragments. It looked like it started, it started eating my, there's some teeth missing. A little bit back here, it started shaving the teeth off. There's all kind of aluminum grindings down here. It's real shiny. From here at this angle back, it's worn. So I mean, I got a 32-foot antenna, so you can imagine the wind load up there on that. So this might be okay to use if you had a rinky-dink beam antenna. I could trash this. I could tear the bottom. I could tear all this off there and turn that into like a CD44, 45. If I wanted to, it'd have a heavy motor. But I think it'd be worth to just go ahead and get this brake ring and the wedge. Find out how much that is and just change that out. And I'd have another ham rotor ready to go if something broke, which would probably be the best thing to do. Would have to go up there about 10 o'clock at night. Excuse me, it's about 3 o'clock in the morning. I went up there at dark one night after work and changed the rotor. I carried the rotor and wearing my harness and everything, light, headlights, and tools, and changed my rotor out at night. That was about an hour's worth of experience. When I got down, I like to fell on the ground because my legs were so sore and tired. So, anyhow, I'm gonna really stretch that top up. But anywho, I don't know what else to talk about. I've got 3 more rotors that Wild Man has in his box. I'm gonna get them done, get them back to him, clean them up with gasoline, and anyway. Hell, let's just do it this way. I'm going to say at least maybe this helped you out a little bit. They are 22. If I ever get a 33 back in here, I might do a shoot on it. But say hi to BS3, Mr. Gumfarb, Mighty Whitey, K5WDP, and all your rag chew ministries over there. I hope you enjoy your time over in the Caddo Lake area. Oh, golly, anybody else that watches? I can't think of my subscribers. Whatever, I ain't got very many, but got a lot of viewers though. Anyway, one of these days we'll do something on my tower up there. I got an element to put back on. We'll go through and give it a tune up here, you know, before it gets too damn hot to do. So, oh man, you can see it's dark outside. And it's cold. It's gonna be about 30 something tonight. So I damn sure ain't gonna go. I'm gonna go get there and get in bed. So we'll catch y'all later. Where in the hell? It's like trying to say last goodbye, you know how. Anyway, Richard, Mighty Whitey, whoever else watches this, and guys down here in Hill County on the radio, those of you out there in the world watches this, 73s.